Hello and welcome to week 12. For week 12, what you're going to be working on is preparing to put all of the work that you've done this semester together to form project number 3. So let's look at the layout of project number 3. You're going to follow that same style that you've seen in your scholarly articles, where you've got an introduction that includes that literature review. You talk about your methods, what you actually did to answer the research question, the results that you found, the discussion, and the conclusion. And obviously, you'll have a references page. So basically, this is project number 2 combined with your your primary research part 1 and your primary research part 2. And of course, you're going to have to think about where that conclusion from project number 2 goes. Obviously, it's going to come at the end, but you're also going to think about, do you need to expand your introduction in your conclusion now that you've put everything together? So that's what you're heading towards. If you look at this week, what you're going to do is set up what we call a reverse outline. So you're going to go ahead and put those two projects together. You'll combine that primary research part 1 and 2 into your final copy of project number 2. You're going to assess what you think needs to be moved. Maybe your counter argument is going to need to be moved. Definitely your conclusion is going to need to be moved. You'll save that document as project number 3. So you'll decide, whether you're using Word or Google Documents, where to save this new project that you're putting together. I want you to count the number of paragraphs in this new project number 3. And then what I want you to do is open up a new document and get those numbers in there. So if you have 16 paragraphs, what you're going to want to do is just give a quick sentence that describes the main idea of that paragraph. What this does is helps you test the order. Does it make sense in the order that it's in, or does yet something else need to be moved here so that this is cohesive? Now, when you get down to the primary research, really it's very simple. This process right here, these sentences can be copied and pasted right into your outline, because basically you follow the same format no matter what. You're going to explain who the participants were, what the instrumentation was, how long the survey was open, so what data collection you followed. You'll analyze that data. You'll analyze, in this case there was data from an interview as well, but you get the general idea. You're going to, follow that pattern. What really matters is the stuff up here. So when you put this together and you look at those sentences, do you need to move something? Does your order make sense? And again, some of the pivotal pieces are going to be that counter argument, what you need to think about as far as, where would that logically go? And obviously that introduction and conclusion will need to be expanded. But for right now, you're just moving this project together and you're testing the order. You've got time to work on that rough draft before that rough draft is due. All right, you have the project number 3 handout here with information. I've got to change a couple of dates clearly, but you've got the information of, exactly what I just walked you through, putting these two pieces together. You're going to want to follow the headings and seriation for APA format. We did a little of that in the primary research portion, but you've got a handout that basically describes that graphic that I showed you in the beginning of this video. And then you've got a sample, somebody who did put it all together, and you've got that laid out, page by page in the correct format. All right, so this week, if you remember back in last week, we had, that primary research analysis part 1, where you just described your participants, your instrumentation, and your data collection. Now you're going to flesh that out. So part 2 is due, but I want you to keep it together. I want you to resubmit part 1 with part 2. So you'll go from participants to instrumentation to data collection to data analysis, and then your results, which just breaks down what happened in that survey, your percentages, your answers, if they were text box answers, Then you'll go into your limitations, what may have skewed your information, and then finally your discussion, where you bring together both your primary and your secondary research. So where do these align? Where do they diverge, and why? All right, so you have at the end of this week on Sunday, November 20th at 11:59 p.m., you've got that primary research, both parts, and that reverse outline. If you have any questions as you move throughout the week, don't hesitate to ask.